everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with a really cool range report on a gun that I have really been wanting to shoot. This is the B&T or Brugger & Toment Mark II pistol. This is a modern version of the Sphinx, which in itself is a version of the CZ75 platform. We all know that Brugger & Toment makes some of the best submachine guns in the world and pistol caliber carbines, but do they make an awesome pistol? Well, let's find out if Carl Brugger is doing it right over in Switzerland. This is going to be the first rounds through this gun. Thank you, David, for letting me borrow this and lending this to the channel. I know this gun has not been shot, so the red dot is not zeroed, but let's find out what happens and what my initial thoughts and experiences are. Well, first of all, that thing shoots excellent. Wow, I am really impressed with the way this thing feels in the hand. When I get this thing back to the garage, I'm going to talk about the grip texture and how it's formed. I really like the way that that feels. Recoil is very minimal for a 9mm. It definitely has what I guess I kind of refer to as the SIG P210 kind of ball bearing feel, which I would really expect from a B&T product, because if you ever cycled the action on, let's say, the APC series of guns, you know how well machined those are. Well, this slide rides in these rails just like that. Has a very smooth feel, great trigger. But let's see how I did. I know I was shooting low. As I said, the red dot is not adjusted. Let's see what my first group was here. Maybe not the world's best. And that was with me putting the dot right in the center and shooting kind of fast. But overall, I'm very impressed. Let me load this magazine back up. Let's put some more rounds down range. All right, so this is going to be the second magazine through this gun. The first thing I'm noticing that maybe could be adjusted on this is the safety. I noticed when I loaded it and put the safety on, there is not a very strong detent when it comes to putting the safety on. When it comes off, you definitely feel it and it stays in the off position. Going on, it's not really that strong. Another thing too is the slide release. I'm noticing that the slide release, for my personal taste, is a little bit too far. I don't know if there's an extension for that. It's definitely manageable, but I got to reach and turn my hand on the grip just a little bit more than what I would normally be comfortable with. But besides that, everything else feels super solid. I forgot the Allen wrench to adjust the red dot, so I'm just going to have to try to adjust my aim by adjusting where I'm shooting. Okay, so this is a super accurate gun. Wow, this is really a pleasure to shoot. Feels great in the hand. Now check out this group here. I was going for the left shoulder. With the red dot, I was actually aiming right here where the head, and I guess the neck would be, but you can see the grouping. So I know if I had the Allen wrench and I could adjust the red dot, I could really get this thing to really shoot some tight groups. This is at 7 yards, and I'm currently using Winchester white box, 9mm NATO. I'm going to load up the next magazine with some hollow points. I know in the past, when it came to my GH-M9, it doesn't like to run hollow points. Well, we're going to see if this B&T runs hollow points. All right, so this magazine, we're going to put some Winchester Defender hollow point through this. Now, this is actually the brand and the make that in the past I've had a lot of problems with when it comes to various guns, not just high-end guns, but 1911s and such. For some reason, the hollow point on these I've always found is a little bit larger than other brands, and sometimes I've had problems feeding. But let's find out how this gun takes them. All right, so the more I shoot this, the better I'm getting at it. I gotta say, this thing took those hollow points like a champ. In fact, I kind of felt like the recoil was a little bit less. Let's check out this grouping. I was going for the head. And as you can see, my shots with this thing are getting a lot better. I really like the reset on this gun and on this trigger. It feels very tactile, it's very audible, but it is also very, very crisp. I really like this a lot. I'm gonna load up another magazine and let my wife shoot it and see what she thinks. All right, so my wife had a fun time shooting that. She says it shot really well for her. She had a little bit of issue when it came to the grip and having to adjust when it comes to her nails, but that's a complaint she has on many guns. Maybe if she didn't spend so much time making her nails all pretty, she could enjoy shooting a little bit more. But she actually did really, really well. Well, I'm gonna put another magazine through this. I'm gonna go out a little bit further. I think I have the target set at 15 yards. I'm really going to take my time with this and see what type of group I can get at a little bit longer range. All right, so I was having to adjust, of course, with the red dot being a little bit off. Let's see my groupings here at 15 yards. And not too bad, pretty happy with that. So I'm shooting this better the more and more I shoot it. I gotta say, for me personally, the high point of this is the trigger. This is the best B&T trigger I've ever shot. Yeah, I like my APCs, I like my GHM9, but the trigger on this thing by far is the best. I love the reset. I love how little play there is in it between the reset and finding the wall, and it breaks so clean. Well, let's get this back to the garage. I'm gonna clean it up, gotta take it apart, look at it, and kind of formulate my final thoughts. So let's get it back to the garage and we'll talk more about it there. All right, so here we are back in the garage. I've had some time to take this thing apart, clean it, kind of investigate what I like and don't like about it, and formulate my final thoughts. Now, the story behind this pistol is really interesting. Let me start off by giving you a couple of close-ups here of the pistol. If it comes into focus, there it goes. You will notice that this gun looks very similar to the CZ75 platform. Now, my contact at B&T kind of told me the history of this gun. They acquired all of the tooling and assets of a company called Sphinx, which was also a Swiss company that I believe was associated with Chris at some time, you know, people that make the Chris Vector. They went bankrupt and B&T bought all of the tooling and assets in a government liquidation sale with the purpose of using that material and those machines to build the USW pistol series. But B&T USA contacted B&T Switzerland and said, we need to come out with a semi-automatic handgun for the US market. And the people in Switzerland said, why not? We got a bunch of these half-finished receivers, bolts, slides, and other equipment ready to go. Let's tool up and let's make a pistol. And this is what they came up with, and they call it the Mark II. Now, functionally and ergonomically, and the manual of arms is exactly the same as the CZ75. So it has the inverted rails, safety is in the exact same spot, it disassembles exactly the same. It is essentially a Gucci CZ75. So if you're a fan of the CZ75 platform, you will really like this, especially because B&T makes some of the highest quality firearms in the world. You know, they don't skimp on anything. You know, a lot of other companies say they're no compromise. I think that's even what HK is. But I will tell you, B&T, I think, takes it to another level. And yeah, I will fully admit, I am completely biased. I love B&T. All of their firearms I've ever owned or shot have just been outstanding. They are just a really, really cool company. So I will fully admit my bias in this review. Now, I also gotta say, I've been falling in love with the CZ75 platform as well. If you guys been following my channel for any length of time, you guys know I finally got a couple of CZs. And I really like them, but I do have a couple of criticisms about them. And I think my criticisms of the CZ75 platform also come over into this pistol a little bit. So let's talk about the range report first and how this gun shot. First of all, this gun is exceptionally accurate. Now, I know in the range part of the video, the shooting part that I showed in the beginning, maybe I wasn't shooting this thing the best, and yes, I totally forgot to bring the Allen wrench to adjust the red dot. It's my fault. Sometimes I forget all of my tools at home, which I did. So I just had to adjust my point of aim. But when I did, and even when I put the dot on a particular part of the target, yeah, I wasn't shooting at that spot, the groupings were still pretty good for my first time shooting this gun. This gun is exceptionally accurate. I also talked about how this gun feels. The recoil impulse is very manageable, it's very light, but it has that SIG full-length rail kind of feel where it just feels like it runs on ball bearings. The machining between the frame and the slide is just that perfect. It is extremely smooth. Even when you rack the slide, you feel that smoothness, and that really translates into how the gun shoots and feels in your hand. Sometimes guns like Glocks, which you guys know I absolutely love Glocks, because they have only 4 little points between the rails and the slide, you can get some kind of friction. It can be a little bit gritty. This doesn't have that. This really feels like a Cadillac of guns, but the CZ75 platform does as well. So extremely accurate. I did not have any reliability issues. Now at the range, we put about 250 rounds through this of ball ammo, hollow points, some plus P, some NATO rounds. It took everything. It had a very strong ejection, no problems whatsoever. So all of that tends to say this is a super duper high quality pistol and probably well worth the price point. Now let's talk about the fit, finish, and function. Well, this is a double single action handgun, so it does have a hammer, and this is going to be one of my first, I don't want to say gripes, but things I would like to possibly see a variation of. The hammer here and the spur of the hammer is very small. It is textured, so if you do want to use your thumb to cock the hammer, you can, but if the hammer is down, you do not get a large area to get your thumb and purchase that hammer and pull that back. I can do it, but it's not very large. I think I would like that hammer to be just a little bit longer. Now, another criticism that I have that comes over from the CZ75 platform when it deals with the inverted rails. While the inverted rails are a really neat idea and really more companies need to do it, but you don't get a lot of area on the slide for cocking. So we do have these very nice cocking serrations here in the back. See if I can get those in focus right back here. They're of course on both sides. Unlike the other CZs I own, they're only in the rear. I really think that they should machine out the front of the slide a little bit more, because for my hands, which are kind of beefy, I got kind of some fat fingers, I actually would find the CZ75 platform a little bit easier to cock from the front, which I can still do with enough grip, just like that. But it'd be nice to have some cocking serrations in the front, which I also think would add a little bit of aesthetics to it. Is that a deal breaker? Absolutely not. The aesthetics of this gun are still very, very nice. It has some just great lines. I really think that everything was thought out really well. While, as I said, I wish a few other things were different, it's still an awesome gun. Now, another thing I don't know about the function, because I don't have the box, I know that a lot of times when you buy a CZ75, you get two options. You can have a safety or a decocker, and both come in the box, and you can easily change them out. This particular gun is set up with a safety. I am not sure if it comes with a decocker. I know a lot of people that shoot the CZ75 love the decocker. I personally like the safety. So this is set up exactly how I would want it. But I do know some of my friends that are CZ fans prefer the decocker. I'm not sure if that's an option that they have. Now, I did mention this at the range, the slide release here, and I really should say this is probably more of a slide lock than a slide release, because if the slide is held back and I try to use my thumb to depress that, it takes quite a lot of energy to release the slide that way. Some people like that, some people don't. Personally, I never really release the slide with just the thumb. I'm always doing the slingshot method, so if the gun is loaded, I'm always grabbing the slide, pulling it back, and letting it go. That's just the way that I do it, but I know some people want to use the thumb. This is more of a slide lock than a slide release, although you can still use it as a slide release. It's just gonna be a little bit difficult because the distance for me on my thumb, and I got some pretty big hands as I mentioned, I have a hard time reaching that to manipulate the slide release in that way. So if you like to manipulate the slide that way, this would be a little bit difficult and take some time getting used to. Now let's talk about the sights. The sights of this gun are set up for the Shield RMS system, which is what is on this gun right now. So it also has some low profile sights that are also built into the red dot. The fact that it has a threaded barrel means a lot of people here in the United States, of course, are going to put a suppressor on this. Now personally, I think this should come with some higher sights. Now I like the idea of the low profile sights, especially for those people that like to run the red dots. I like to run irons. And if I do run a red dot, I like to have them co-witnessed with the iron sights. So I'm a big fan of suppressor height sights. So if I'm gonna run this with a can, which is what I would do if this was my own pistol, I would want to have the option of suppressor height sights. Now it looks like these sights are really easy to change out, just like the CZ platform. It's just gonna be an Allen wrench, those can come out. Now for all I know, these are actually compatible with CZ75 sights. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have anything to compare them to right now. But those are all of the little gripes that I have when it comes to the function. Now let's talk about the finish. The finish of this gun is a little bit interesting. Something I've kind of discovered is that as you go from the bottom of the gun to the top of the gun, you change materials. It appears that there are 3 materials that go into the build of this gun. You have a polymer section down here, which includes the trigger guard. The upper portion of the receiver is aluminum and the slide is steel. Now this may come across on the camera or not. You can kind of see the difference in texture and color between that. So you have the polymer here, the aluminum here, and the steel here. The one thing that B&T does better, I think, than any other company in the world is their polymer. So when you hold one of the APC or GHM series of guns, it is amazing to see how they're able to take the polymer and have it meld right into the aluminum receiver, and it looks like it's the same thing. It's really amazing. Their polymer is very dense. You never see any type of molding marks or anything, and they really do an excellent job on this. I think the polymer on the bottom reduces a lot of the weight. Now, all of my other CZs are either all aluminum or all polymer. This is really cool that it's kind of a blended design. Not sure if that comes from the Sphinx or not, but it really works well on this pistol. It's really kind of neat. And of course, the slide is steel. I believe it is stainless, and the barrel is stainless as well. But let's talk about the finish of this now. There are two issues that I have with the finish. Now, only shooting 250 rounds, I always expect there to be a little bit of wear on the barrel. So if I pull the slide back, you can see that we're already getting a little bit of the, I guess some people call it the smile. Let's see if I can get this in focus. Sorry if I can't. So you get a little bit of wear up here, which is of course normal for any gun. But after 250 rounds, I'm not used to so much wear on the barrel hood. So up here in the front, up here, I'm getting a lot of finish coming off the barrel hood. Now, I don't think that is detrimental to the gun. It probably means this gun has super tight tolerances, which is why the gun shoots so well. But you're obviously getting some rubbing up there. So if you are really worried about the finish, this is something that you would have to kind of watch out for. I still think the finish is durable, and you have stainless underneath the finish, so you don't have to worry about corrosion or anything. But after 250 rounds, I'm kind of surprised that it had that much wear. Now let's talk about the other thing. Now this thing is something I have only seen on a Glock 19. Now I have to disassemble this slide right here, or take the slide off. Let me remove the slide, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if I take out the barrel, the recoil spring in the barrel, underneath the barrel on the slide, it is already starting to change colors. Now, whatever the finish is, I'm not sure what it is, but you might be able to see it kind of looks a little bit maybe reddish, bluish, yellowish in there. It's kind of like a little rainbow of colors. Now, I noticed this on my Glock 19X, and this is something that is common on whatever that finish is. It kind of turns purple from the brown. Now, this is obviously a black finish. Now, this is not a ported barrel, but whatever the finish is changing color, and it's even on the side of the slide. I'll even roll in a couple of pictures of it right now while I'm talking, so you guys can kind of see what I'm saying. It doesn't affect the function of the gun. I don't think there's any problems with it. I think it's probably well within what it's supposed to do. I don't see any of that finish wear or changing color coming to the outside of the slide either, but it is something just to be aware of. I'm sure this is pretty normal, but it is something that I did notice. I've never really had this on any other black finish guns, so somebody that may know what this finish is could tell me in the comment section below and why it is doing this. But that is the only issue I'm seeing, and I believe this is going to come from heat and not friction. Where the barrel hood issue is definitely from friction, this is coming from heat and temperature. So as I said, I don't think it changes the way the gun shoots or the quality of the gun. It is just the way that this finish kind of works, and it is something to be aware of. And so if you have one of these Mark II pistols, maybe to kind of watch out for. As I said, I don't think it's something to be too concerned about at all, but it's just the nature of that finish. Now, I've never had that finish issue on any other B&T products. So what do I really like about this gun? Well, I gotta say, when you hold this gun, you know this is one high quality firearm. It just feels quality. This is a gun that would be an awesome concealed carry gun. It's just the right size. It's not really a full-size CZ75, it's probably more like the compact size. And it is interchangeable with all CZ magazines as well. So if you have a bunch of CZ magazines, you already got a bunch of magazines for this thing. They're all compatible. So all the CZ stuff, the way that you might carry a CZ75, all the accessories, it's just going to integrate into this platform great. And as I said, it's like a Gucci CZ. And for the price point, compared to other very high-end guns, I think you get an incredible gun for this price. price, which as of right now, I'm seeing a lot of them go for about $1,400 on the US market. So depending on when you're watching this video, that price may be higher, might be lower. That's just when I am filming it. So I think for $1,400, you get a pretty awesome gun. The grip is also well thought out. I feel like the trigger and the grip are the two best things ergonomically with this gun and why I really like it. The grip here has some unique shapes to it. I kind of feel like they may have done some molds with people's hands to kind of figure out how to best shape that, because it's definitely different than your standard CZ. You don't have grip panels on the side. But then there's the trigger. The trigger of this gun is fantastic. I would never change this trigger. I know a lot of people buy CZs and the first thing they do is go buy some other trigger and put it in. This thing is awesome right out of the box. It feels solid. I think it's all metal. It has a great crisp break, very little take up, and the wall is right there. It has a very short and audible tactile reset. It is awesome. I really love this trigger. So it has so many awesome things about it. It is just a great shooting gun. And to be honest with you, I really want one. Now I know what you're saying. You had a couple of complaints about it. Why would you want one? Well, I've really fallen in love with the CZ75 platform. And this is a high-end Gucci version of the CZ75 platform. Plus it's a B&T, and I love B&T stuff. So how would I rank this on my little star system of 0 to 5? Well, I gotta say, it did not exceed my expectations. It didn't meet my expectations of a super high quality, very accurate pistol that I would expect from B&T. I did have a few issues and things ergonomically that maybe I would like to have adjusted. Like I said, front cocking serrations, maybe a little bit different hammer, maybe a rethinking or re-engineering of the slide lock, but those are all very small things. I would give this gun 4.5 stars out of 5. It is an awesome gun. And I think if you, as I said, I think if you guys like the CZ75, you're gonna absolutely love this. If you love B&T, you're gonna love this. It is a great pistol. It is not perfect, but it is an awesome gun. Really neat, and I think kind of different than what else is out there on the market in the CZ world. As I said, you got this polymer lower, aluminum kind of receiver, steel upper. It's very different, and I also think that affects the balance of the gun. It's just a really awesome, well-engineered, well-thought-out gun. Very nice offering from B&T. So there you go, the B&T Mark II. 4.5 stars out of 5. Beautiful gun. All around pretty awesome, and that is my experiences. So do you guys own a B&T Mark II? What do you guys think? Do you guys have the same issues and thoughts about it that I do? Tell me in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.